Hi, it's Ryan from Uncanny Owl. Our Zapier integration for Uncanny Automator is incredibly powerful, and better still, it's easy to set up and test. Any recipe at all can trigger a Zapier webhook, so even if you use a Zapier integration plugin now, Automator is going to give you a lot more flexibility because of its support for multiple triggers. To set up Zapier on your own site, of course, you'll need two things: Uncanny Automator and a Zapier account. Let's jump right in and start setting up a Zapier action. Note that I've already gone ahead and set up the trigger part of this recipe. For this example, I'm going to add users that complete 3 different courses that are part of a certification program to add a tag to the user's profile in ActiveCampaign. That way, all of my certified students are tagged as such through Zapier. I'm going to switch over to Zapier now to set up the first part of the Zap. I want to make a Zap, so I'll click here. Then I need a webhook, so I'll scroll down here. The webhook lets Automator send data from the WordPress site over to Zapier and start this Zap. You will always do catch hook here, that's really important. Leave the child key blank and continue. Now we have a webhook URL, so it's time to switch back over to the WordPress site right after I copy the URL into my clipboard. Okay, now I'll choose Zapier as the integration in the recipe. The very first thing we need to do is paste in the webhook URL. You'll see a lot of key and value fields next. Those are how we can pass data about the user or about the recipe triggers over to Zapier. The key is the label and the value is, of course, the value. For this recipe, I want to pass 2 things: the user's email address and the name of the tag. So I'll take a minute now and set the first key to the user's email address. The address is a token or variable, so we click this icon here and then find the user email in the list. Text is the tag, which I'll just make certified for everyone. Now I want to send some test data over to Zapier to make sure everything's working. I need to save the action quickly just to set the parameters, but now I'll go back into the action. There's a send test button at the bottom of the action to send some data over to Zapier, and it confirms that it works successfully. Now switching back to Zapier, we can see that data was sent over. If I expand this, the data looks as expected. I see my keys and my tags. Now we need an action though, so we need to connect this Zap to ActiveCampaign. We'll create a new step for that. I'll click on Action Search to choose from my apps, and ActiveCampaign is listed at the top. I want to update a contact, so I'll click this radio button and then move forward. Let's use this ActiveCampaign account and test it. It works, so we can click Save and Continue. The ActiveCampaign integration requires a list, so I'll just choose this one. But now for the email address, I can choose the user's email address from WordPress. I'll click here and choose the email address as the variable. And down here, I can choose the tag. I didn't really need to send it. I didn't need to send the tag. I could have just typed it in, but I wanted to show how we can pass over multiple records and even variables. That's all set, so I can click Continue. I know this will work, and I didn't actually send a real email address, so I'm going to skip this test. And that's it, so I can click Finish. I'll add a name to the Zap, and if I wanted to start using it now, I could click the On switch here. Back on the WordPress side, I can now take everything live. Now data will send from WordPress when triggered, initiate that webhook over in Zapier, and eventually pass data over to ActiveCampaign. That wraps up setting up the Zapier webhook. It is a bit more complicated and requires a few steps, but it's a very powerful solution that's worth the extra effort. Thanks for watching.